Millie Bobby Brown and Noah Schnapp have been best friends since they were literal children. The best friends we all love from our heart, and by surprise, these two bonded during season 1 when they were both around 12 years old. Their friendship has evolved from co-stars who shared scenes to genuine best friends who vacation together, post constantly about each other. They have that specific kind of chaotic energy that comes from knowing someone since before either of you had fully developed personalities. They've done joint interviews where they finish each other's sentences, created TikToks together that show the kind of unfiltered goofiness you only display around people who've seen you at your worst, and generally act like siblings who actually like each other. Brown has called Schnapp her soulmate in the platonic sense, which is the kind of declaration that makes fans simultaneously jealous and deeply invested in their continued friendship. They grew up together under intense, unusual circumstances, becoming famous as kids while filming an emotionally demanding show. They've supported each other through the awkwardness of adolescence happening under public scrutiny, with Brown often defending Schnapp online, and Schnapp hyping up Brown's various entrepreneurial ventures with genuine enthusiasm. Their friendship represents the best-case scenario for child actors who meet on set. Instead of growing apart as they age and their lives diverge, they've maintained a connection that seems genuinely meaningful beyond professional networking or publicity requirements. But while Brown and Schnapp represent the show's most famous friendship, there's another bond that's equally strong. Gatton Matarazzo and Caleb McLaughlin are the duo nobody talks about enough. These two have been tight since the beginning, bonding over being the slightly less spotlight-grabbing members of the core four boys, while Finn Wolfhard and Noah Schnapp got more attention for their characters' relationships with Eleven and the main plot. Matarazzo and McLaughlin have talked about how that shared experience of being important to the show, but not always central to marketing, created a friendship based on understanding what it's like to be essential, but sometimes overlooked. They hang out regularly off-set and have developed the kind of easy rapport that comes from years of working together without the pressure of being the show's most promoted faces. What's particularly interesting is how their real-life friendship doesn't mirror their characters' dynamic. Can you believe it? Dustin and Lucas have had tension and competition over the seasons, fighting over Max's attention and having different approaches to problems. But Matarazzo and McLaughlin seem to have none of that friction. They supported each other through challenges, from health scrutiny to confronting racism. Their friendship represents the kind of solidarity that develops when you're both navigating similar industry challenges. Meanwhile, there's a friendship that proves on-screen chemistry sometimes translates to real life. Joe Keery and Maya Hawke became genuine friends playing characters who bonded over shared trauma. Steve and Robin's friendship in Season 3 was one of the show's highlights. Two people with completely different personalities finding unexpected connection through working together at Scoops Ahoy, and subsequently being tortured by Russians. Gary and Hawke's real-life friendship developed similarly organically, though hopefully with less actual torture involved. They've talked about how much fun they had filming their scenes together, with Hawke noting that Kiri's easygoing nature made it simple to build the kind of comfortable rapport that Steve and Robin needed to feel authentic. Their behind-the-scenes interactions showed genuine affection and the kind of teasing that indicates actual friendship rather than professional politeness. What makes their dynamic particularly entertaining is that both are creative people with interests beyond acting. They've been spotted at each other's concerts and generally seem to enjoy spending time together when cameras aren't rolling, which isn't always the case with actors who have great on-screen chemistry. Their friendship proves that sometimes the best performances come from genuine connection, and that the Duffer Brothers' decision to pair them was as much about their actual compatibility as their acting abilities. By the way, if you like Stranger Things, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. It helps more than you know. Sadie Sink and Millie Bobby Brown's friendship grew as their characters became close. Max and Eleven started as rivals in Season 2, Max being the new girl who threatened Eleven's relationship with Mike, which created on-screen tension that was completely scripted and not reflective of how Sink and Brown actually felt about each other. But as their characters developed a genuine friendship in Season 3, becoming best friends who went shopping and bonded over their respective boyfriend drama, Sink and Brown's real-life relationship deepened as well. They've talked about how filming those Season 3 scenes where Max helps Eleven discover independence and fun outside of Mike created actual bonding experiences. Their friendship represents an interesting dynamic because they came into the show at different times and had to navigate joining an already established cast, which could have created distance or competition. Instead, they found common ground in being young women on a show dominated by male characters, dealing with similar industry pressures around growing up in public and being scrutinized for their appearances and choices. And speaking of authentic affection, there's a friendship that surprised everyone. Finn Wolfhard and Gaten Matarazzo's bond is stronger than their characters' friendship suggests. Mike and Dustin are best friends on the show, but their relationship is often defined more by group dynamics than one-on-one connection, with both of them being close to Will and Lucas in ways that sometimes feel more prominent. Wolfhard and Matarazzo's real-life friendship, however, seems to be one of the cast's strongest bonds, with both frequently posting about each other and showing up to support each other's projects outside of Stranger Things. Matarazzo has attended Wolfhard's band performances and film premieres, while Wolfhard has promoted Matarazzo's various ventures with genuine enthusiasm that goes beyond obligatory co-star support. What makes their friendship particularly interesting is that their personalities seem quite different. Wolfhard is more reserved and artistic, interested in music and directing, while Matarazzo comes from a theater background and has a more outgoing, performative energy. But those differences seem to complement rather than clash, with each bringing out different sides of the other. They've been through the entire journey of the show together, from being unknown kids at the Season 1 premiere to being internationally recognized actors dealing with fame's complications. Meanwhile, the adult cast has developed its own web of friendships. Winona Ryder and David Harbour's friendship mirrors their characters' slow-burn relationship. Joyce and Hopper's dynamic have evolved from antagonistic colleagues to reluctant allies to people who care deeply about each other, and Ryder and Harbour's real-life friendship followed a similar trajectory of starting as professional collaborators and becoming genuine friends over years of working together. They've talked about the trust required to film some of their more intense scenes, particularly the emotional moments where Joyce is desperate and Hopper is trying to be supportive despite his own trauma, and how that trust developed through years of showing up for each other both on and off camera. Harbour has spoken about Ryder's professionalism and how she approaches every scene with full commitment, which he respects as someone who also takes the craft seriously. Ryder has discussed Harbour's ability to bring humor to Hopper without undermining the character's pain, showing appreciation for his nuanced performance. Their friendship seems to be built on mutual respect for each other's abilities and shared understanding of what it's like to be the older cast members on a show that's primarily marketed around its younger stars. They've become something like the show's parental figures, not just in their roles, but in how they interact with the younger cast, creating a dynamic where their real-life friendship enhances their on-screen relationship rather than complicating it. But the most unexpected friendship might be between actors whose characters barely interact. Caleb McLaughlin and Sadie Sink's friendship exists mostly off-screen, despite Lucas and Max being a couple. Lucas and Max's romantic relationship has been central to both characters' arcs since Season 2, with their on-again, off-again dynamic providing emotional stakes throughout the series. But McLaughlin and Sink's real-life friendship seems to be based less on their romantic chemistry and more on being the same age, joining the show around the same time, and navigating similar challenges as they've grown up in the public eye. They're friendly and supportive, but don't seem to have the same level of constant interaction that some other cast members display, which is completely fine and actually quite healthy. What's interesting is how McLaughlin and Sink have both been vocal about different aspects of fame and industry treatment, with McLaughlin addressing racism he's experienced, and Sink discussing the pressures young actresses face regarding appearance and aging out of roles. They seem to respect each other's perspectives and support each other's advocacy work, even when they're not posting constant photos together or doing joint interviews. Their friendship represents a more low-key dynamic that's probably more common among co-stars than the intensely close bonds that get highlighted in the press. People who genuinely like and respect each other without needing to be in constant contact or making their friendship a major part of their public personas. And then, there's a cross-generational friendship that nobody saw coming. Millie Bobby Brown and Winona Ryder developed a mentor-mentee relationship that became genuine friendship. Brown has talked extensively about how Ryder became a crucial support system during the show's early seasons, when Brown was dealing with sudden international fame at age 12 and needed guidance from someone who understood the specific pressures of child stardom in the entertainment industry. Ryder experienced fame extremely young herself in the late 80s and early 90s, which gave her unique perspective on what Brown was going through and positioned her to offer advice that went beyond generic stay grounded platitudes. Their relationship started as Ryder looking out for the young girl playing her daughter, but evolved into something more reciprocal as Brown matured and developed her own perspective on fame and career. What makes their friendship particularly touching is that Ryder has been protective of Brown in ways that go beyond professional obligation, speaking up in interviews about the unfair scrutiny young women face, and specifically defending Brown against criticism that she's too ambitious or too focused on building a business empire. Brown, in turn, has expressed genuine gratitude for Ryder's mentorship and friendship, noting that having someone who's been through similar experiences makes the industry feel less isolating. And the younger person respects that wisdom without feeling patronized, creating a dynamic that's enriched both their lives and probably made filming their intense mother-daughter scenes easier. Meanwhile, some friendships formed around shared interests beyond acting. Finn Wolfhard and Joe Keery's friendship revolves around their mutual love of music. Both are musicians with serious dedication to their craft. Wolfhard plays guitar and bass in the Aubreys, while Keery has released multiple albums as Djo, which gave them common ground beyond just being cast members on the same show. They've bonded over discussions of gear, songwriting, and the challenges of pursuing music seriously, while being primarily known for acting, creating a friendship based on shared creative passion rather than just proximity. Wolfhard has mentioned Keery as someone whose music career he respects and uses as a model for how to balance multiple artistic pursuits without letting one completely overshadow the other. Their friendship is quieter than some of the cast's other relationships, without constant social media posts or public displays of affection, but the mutual respect is obvious in how they talk about each other in interviews. Keery has supported Wolfhard's musical ambitions and attended his performances, while Wolfhard has promoted Keery's albums and spoken enthusiastically about his evolution as an artist. Their bond represents a different kind of co-star relationship, where the connection is built around shared interests and mutual respect for each other's artistry, rather than the forced camaraderie that can develop on sets where people are thrown together and expected to become instant friends. But not every cast relationship has been smooth sailing from the start. The core four boys had to learn to work together despite having very different personalities. Finn Wolfhard, Gaten Matarazzo, Caleb McLaughlin, and Noah Schnapp were thrown together as preteens and told to become best friends on screen, which could have created resentment or competition, but instead resulted in a bond that survived years of growing up together under intense public scrutiny. They've been refreshingly honest about the fact that being friends isn't always easy when you're working long hours, dealing with fame at young ages, and going through adolescence while millions of people watch and comment on everything you do. But they've also emphasized that the shared experience of being on this specific show at this specific time in their lives has created a connection that transcends typical friendship. What's particularly interesting is how their real-life dynamics differ from their characters' relationships on the show. Mike is the clear leader of the party, but off-screen the power dynamics are more balanced, with each bringing different strengths and taking on different roles within the group. They've supported each other through various challenges, from McLaughlin dealing with racist harassment from fans, to Schnapp coming out publicly and receiving support from his co-stars. Their friendship isn't perfect or uncomplicated, but it's real, which makes it more valuable than the sanitized version of celebrity. Friendship that often gets presented to the public. They've grown up together in the weirdest possible circumstances and managed to not hate each other, which honestly deserves its own award. And finally, there's a friendship that proves sometimes the best bonds form in unexpected places. Maya Hawke and Sadie Sink's friendship developed despite their characters never sharing significant screen time. Robin and Max have barely interacted across 4 seasons, with their storylines keeping them in separate spheres of the show's sprawling plot. But Hawke and Sink developed a real-life friendship anyway, bonding over being 2 of the show's younger women navigating an industry that has specific expectations and pressures for female performers. They've been spotted together at events and posted about each other on social media in ways that suggest genuine affection rather than publicity-mandated friendliness. Their friendship represents how cast bonds can form around shared experiences and mutual respect, even when the script doesn't give those people scenes together. What makes their dynamic particularly sweet is that both have talked about appreciating having other women their age on set, creating a support system that doesn't revolve around the boys who dominate much of the show's storyline and promotional material. They've supported each other's projects outside Stranger Things and generally seem to enjoy each other's company when the cameras aren't rolling, which adds another layer to the show's behind-the-scenes dynamic. Their friendship proves that sometimes the most meaningful connections on a set happen between people whose characters never even have a conversation, built instead on shared experiences of being young women in an industry that doesn't always make space for female friendship to be celebrated. So, which real-life cast friendship surprised you the most after learning how different they are from their characters? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because surviving 8 years of fake monsters and real fame is its own kind of bond.